The story of Mistral is really the story of three co-founders, me, Guillaume, Timothée. We are researchers by training, and I'm a researcher by training.
That's Arthur Mensch, co-founder and CEO of Mistral AI, talking to my colleague Surabhi Agarwal about its origin story.
And spent most of my time in academia, let's say 5 years, and then spent three years at Google when I started to work on large language models.
So in 2023, Mensch and his fellow researchers and friends, Guillaume Lampel and Timothy Lecroix, left big tech companies to launch Mistral in Paris.
We realized that this was we knew that it was a very important technology before, but we realized that the market concentration was accruing. And we were, I think, maybe a little bored in the big tech companies we were working with. And so we saw the opportunity, we saw the needs, we saw that we could actually concentrate talent, which is the first thing you need to do as a startup, is really just the right founding team.
And they started like many AI entrepreneurs, with a research lab.
To be honest, in 2023, we had no idea how to build a business. We built a research lab first. Of course, we raised money, and that means we had to build a business. So we focused very early on the enterprise sector, which meant that we then built the go-to-market function, we built a product function, which means my role has departed pretty significantly from being a researcher to being operating multiple things. We've been lucky to hire people that are experts in their field and able to help grow the business.
Mistral AI builds high-performance large language models designed to give developers and enterprises more control in deploying advanced AI. The word control is important because in the last few years, it has become Europe's boldest answer to American AI giants. Backing open-weight models and digital sovereignty, Mistral is challenging who controls artificial intelligence. In this episode, Arthur Mensch answers the following questions. Is US AI dominance creating dangerous leverage? Can open models and sovereign infrastructure reduce dependency? And is the compute race financially sustainable? Listen on. It's Saturday, the 21st of Feb. I'm Anirban Chaudhary. You're listening to The Morning Brief.
Good morning, Arthur. Thank you so much for speaking to the Economic Times. It's a real pleasure. Let me begin by asking you, you're here for the India AI Summit, right? We've seen a lot of action over the last few days. Today is the last concluding day of the summit. What have been the key takeaways? You were there at the PM's plenary session yesterday.
So it's a great pleasure for me to be here. Prime Minister Modi made a very interesting point on artificial intelligence being a technology that needs to be brought to everyone. Which is something we truly believe in. And he made a very interesting point on self-reliance. He mentioned that this was too important a technology for them to depend on others. And so what that meant is that local infrastructure, there should be Indian local infrastructure, there should be Indian models, there should be Indian applications. And so on the entire stack, there needs to be a technology that is controlled by local businesses.
Right.
And so that's a point which truly resonates with what we have been building. It's a company that we started 3 years ago, and we've built the entire full stack offering on artificial intelligence in a way where we can enable self-reliance in every country and for every businesses. So that's what I can say about the summit. We were pretty much the only European being represented, and we're very happy to be there because as you could tell, the US was heavily represented as well.
In some way, do you feel that there's too much of concentration when it comes to technology creation in the United States? And that, as a European company, do you feel that puts you a little bit at a disadvantage in some ways?
That puts our customers at a disadvantage. The problem of market concentration is that it gives excessive leverage to your suppliers if you're a business that is buying digital services. So our customers are at a disadvantage because some of their suppliers are coming to them and telling them, look, you're running, your data is hosted by us, it's going to be more expensive for you. And tomorrow the problem is that it's not only the data which is going to be hosted by us, it's going to be the processes and the digital workers that are going to be operated by them. So it gives them immense leverage and immense control. And it's a control that can be used for geopolitical reasons as a way of pressurizing the states.
Right.
It's also a control that can be used to just increase the economic imbalance. So at Mistral, I guess, does it put us at a disadvantage? I don't think so. It actually puts us at an advantage because suddenly our customers and all of the enterprise market and all of the states are realizing that the market concentration is currently too high and it needs to be reduced.
I think when I talk to some of the companies in India, they have a similar experience, right? Because it's the same issue of the imbalance that you spoke about, right? What is it that India can learn from the approach that you are promoting?
I don't think we have anything to teach India. A lot of our researchers are actually from India, and we have much more to learn from India than we have to teach it. But first thing is, I think our bet on open source has proven to be the right bet. We were the first to actually release open source models, and we've seen a lot of other labs in the world actually follow that. We've seen Indian labs actually use our models to make them better at certain Indian languages. And so that bet on open source is the way to reduce the leverage that a handful of providers have today. I'd say the second thing is local infrastructure. So betting on local infrastructure, building infrastructure oneself is something that we are doing in Europe because our customers ask for it. They ask for more decoupling from their current digital service providers. We see India doing it. We see that a lot of investment are being made on the infrastructure, not only to serve US providers, but also to serve and to be operated by Indian providers. And there we can be a partner to these constructions because we can bring some bricks of the software that can be then deployed on such local infrastructure. And the third thing is also going all the way to the creation of value because we can help them automate their core businesses. We go in depth and we work with the lines of businesses. We work with the subject matter experts to transform a description of a process that needs to be automated or a description of how a machine is operating to build an AI system to either automate the process or actually actuate the machine better.
Talk to me a little bit about your own expectations out of the India market. How does it fit into your global strategy from a creation and adoption point of view of your models?
So India is a new market for us, and we are starting to hire here locally people from on the commercial side at the moment. We are working with Indian providers or with global providers with a very big Indian footprint like Capgemini. We think it's a huge market in the consumer space. It's a huge market. We're not a consumer company, but we work with a lot of consumer-facing companies, and so we can help them scale their AI systems. We are very strong at making small models that are specifically made for a purpose. And small models have a lower footprint, which means that they are less expensive to serve, which means that down the line, the end users can access it for a lower amount of money. And so making AI cheap is something that we can really help businesses with. The fact that we can bring a software stack on top of local infrastructure means that we are actively looking at partnering with a local infrastructure provider that are building sovereign cloud, something that we do across the globe, partnering with sovereign cloud providers. And then finally, we are very eager to work with two areas. One is startups, which are using our open source models. And the other sector where I believe there are some convergence is defense.
Could you talk a little bit about, are you in talks for partnerships during this visit? Have you met companies that could probably expand those?
So we've met a few. I have nothing to announce today, but we work with sovereign cloud providers that are announced in Europe, in Singapore as well. And so I think the recipe that we've followed is something that we can actively reproduce here.
Talking a little bit about, the data center play, there's so much of compute that is, getting invested by players like OpenAI and Google, right? So do you feel that is something that Mistral also needs to significantly expand on, or is that going to be like a big advantage or a big lever on which, the success of companies in the near future will depend on? And how are you thinking about it?
Now we're expanding our compute aggressively as we see a lot of demand for it. We are doing it in a way that is financially reasonable, in that we are also working toward having a path toward profitability. And we've been very capital efficient when it comes to training our models. So that's something we want to stay. We are also very efficient when it comes to serving our models. So that's something we also invest on. So we're scaling aggressively, and we'll have more than 200 megawatt by the end of 2027 under management. On the other hand, we just want to make sure that from a financial perspective, we can bring return to our shareholder base. So we're efficient and we're scaling, and we think that efficiency is going to be key in the world that is to come.
Do you feel that there is already some froth in the US market? Because, there have been concerns of a bubble, and there are conversations that, the kind of investments that are going into building compute are not justified by the revenues or the ROI, right? The returns on investments. What do you feel?
Well, I'm not going to comment on some of our competitors, but the amount of leverage that is being used to actually build faster is large. And so leverage is good, but leverage at some point breaks. I think artificial intelligence is too important to technology for market concentration to accrue. It's going to reduce. And so what that means is that when you have a lower market concentration, well, then you need to be more efficient because your margins are going to be lower. And so what that means is that AI being an infrastructure business, you should run it as an infrastructure business. When you run an infrastructure business, you also focus on the return on investment, on capital invested, and metrics that are boring for a tech company, but that are very well known for a utility company.
Yeah.
And as technology is becoming a utility, and AI is really a utility, well, focus on efficiency is going to be extremely important to sustain a business.
I think you're one of the poster boys of the European innovation ecosystem by having started Mistral. What can you tell us about the European ecosystem? How can we strengthen it further? And probably what lessons can India also share? Because we also have a very strong ecosystem which is coming up.
Europe is a great talent pool. And overall, I think what this company and what we've shown is that as long as you were decided enough to build a business from Europe, you could. And so I think what India can do, which we are starting to do as an ecosystem in Europe, is to actually behave as an ecosystem and make sure that the Indian entrepreneurs are doing their companies from here and not from the Silicon Valley. Because all of this innovation power, if it flows to the US, then this is lost for you. These are lost opportunities for any country that leave the entrepreneurs leave their country. So having a strong enough ecosystem, having access to capital, having access to markets is critical in making sure that entrepreneurs are doing what they want to do in the countries where they live in instead of going where everybody is. And so in Europe, I think we are getting there. In India, it's going to be the same. I think the inflection point is making sure that the people that are building companies here and not building companies from other places.
Thank you so much for joining for this conversation. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Arthur Mensch is gunning for competition over concentration. As nations race to build their AI stacks, the key question is, will companies like Mistral AI actually decentralize who controls the pipes, the power, and the profits of the intelligence economy? That's it for today. You were listening to this episode on The Morning Brief. It was produced by me, sound designed by Amrit Reddy. A new episode of The Morning Brief drops every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, wherever you get your podcasts. But when the news cycle is too fast, like now, we come to you more often. Stay tuned.